In this video tutorial, we will be talking about how to set up your footer. So here we are at the original Bridge demo site, and if we scroll down, we will see the site's footer. Now, looking at this footer here, you might notice that it's comprised of two different sections. Here we can see a top footer, and we also see a bottom footer. So Bridge supports having two different footer areas, and each of these footer areas can be divided into columns. So looking at this demo site here, we will see that the top footer has 4 columns, and the bottom footer has 1 column. Now, when you start building your site footer, it's completely customizable, so you can have both of these footer areas showing, or you can only have one of the footer areas. And you can also set the number of columns that you want to have for your footer. So in the following section, I will be showing you how to create a footer from scratch. This is the site that I'm working on, and when I scroll down, we can see that there is no footer. So in order to set up my footer, first of all, I will navigate to Code Options Footer. Over here, we will see options that pertain to the site's footer. So here it says Show Footer Top and Show Footer Bottom. So by turning on these options, you can toggle on the top and bottom footer, which I just talked about a moment ago. So let's go ahead and enable the top footer. Now we will see options that belong to the top footer. First of all, it's asking us if we want the footer to be in grid. By setting yes, the content of your footer will be in grid. Otherwise, the content of the footer will span full width across the page. So I'm going to put yes. Now it's asking you to choose the number of columns. Bridge supports having 4 columns for the top footer. Now over here, you will see 3 different options for 3 columns. If you choose the first one, your columns will all be equal width. The second option here, it says 25 plus 25 plus 50%. If you choose this option, your third column will be wider than the first 2. And the last option here, it says 50 plus 25 plus 25%. If you choose this option, then your first column will be wider than the other 2. In my case, I want to have equally sized columns, so I'm just going to set this 3 here. Now we can choose the alignment for the footer columns. Down here, we will find design options for the footer. You can set your colors, you can set a border. And over here, it says footer top padding. Here you can control the padding amounts for your footer. Now here for the padding top and the padding bottom, this is how you can control the size of your footer. So for now, I'm just going to put 60 in both fields. Later on, you can go ahead and modify these values. So basically, the higher the numbers that you enter, the taller your footer will appear. And if you want your footer to appear smaller, you should enter lower values here. So let's go ahead and save changes. Now I'm going to refresh my page. Let's scroll down, and we see that nothing has happened. This is because we haven't added any content to our footer. So in order to add content, I will navigate to Appearance Widgets. Here we will see the widget areas that belong to the top footer. So it says footer column 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 4 widget areas correspond to the 4 footer columns. Now, when you're adding your widgets, you need to be careful that you're adding them to the appropriate widget area. In my case, I set my footer to have 3 columns. So these are the widget areas that I will use. If I add any content into the footer column 4 widget area, it will not show up on my site, and that's because I'm not utilizing the 4th column. Let's add some content to my footer. In the first column, I will add a logo. So let's look for the image widget. So here it is. I'm going to drag this widget into my widget area. Now let's click on Add Image. Here's my logo. and I'm going to click Add to Widget. Now let's save this widget. In the second footer column, I will be adding my latest posts. So let's look for the recent posts widget. Here it is. So let's drag this widget. I'm going to enter a title here. I'm just going to add recent posts, and let's save this. And in my third column, I will be adding a menu. So let's look for that navigation menu widget. Here it is. In order to add your menu here, you will want to create your menu in Appearance Menus, and then you will be able to add it using the navigation menu widget. I have previously created a menu for the footer, so here I'm going to select it from the drop-down. And I'm going to add a title for this widget. I'll just put useful links. And let's save this widget. Now let's take a look at our site. I'm going to refresh the page. Let's scroll down the page. And we can see now that the footer is here. So we added the logo to the first footer column. In the second column, we have recent posts. And in the third column, we added the navigation menu. Now let's go ahead and enable the bottom footer. So I'm going to navigate to Code Options Footer. And down here, it says Show Bottom Footer. So I'm going to put yes. And similarly to the top footer, we now have options pertaining to the bottom footer. So once again, I can set my bottom footer to be in grid. Here I can choose the number of columns for the bottom footer. And as you can see, the bottom footer supports up to 3 columns. I'm just going to set 1 column for the bottom footer. Down here, we have some design options. And once again, we can set the padding for the bottom footer. So the padding top and padding bottom fields, they control the size of the bottom footer. Here, I'm just going to enter a small value because I don't want my bottom footer to be very large. And I'm going to click on Save. Now let's go back to Appearance Widgets. Now over here, we see widget areas that belong to the bottom footer. Now once again, just like with the top footer, these widget areas correspond to the 3 columns in the bottom footer. So if you set your bottom footer to have 1 column, you will want to add your widgets to the footer bottom center widget area. And if you set your bottom footer to have 2 columns, you will be using the footer bottom left and right widget areas. And if you set your bottom footer to have 3 columns, you will have all 3 of these widget areas available to use. Now, since I set my bottom footer to have only 1 column, I will want to add my widgets to this widget area here. Now, I'm just going to add some copyright text. So let's look for the text widget. Here it is. So I'm going to drag this widget and I'm going to enter my copyright text here. Let's save this widget and let's refresh my page. Now we see that the bottom footer with the copyright text is here. So in this video, we talked about how to set up your footer. If you have any further questions, you can ask us in the comment section. And if you would like to be notified about upcoming videos, you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.